So I heard this crazy stat this week that I want to talk about. Lean into this one because I was actually really surprised. So the stat is from Gallup that does strength finders. And according to their survey, only 29%, so 29% of employees think that their performance reviews are fair. So that's really low. And then I think it was 26% of employees think that their performance reviews are accurate. Major problem. And I just wanted to see what you guys thought about that.
I have so many thoughts.
That's a lot of people who don't think their boss has any idea of, knows what they're doing at all, right? Yeah.
All right. Well, let's also talk about the fact that most performance reviews conducted in the US only happen once a year. And what is the exercise? Hey, remember every single thing you've done in every single month and tell us your favorite things of the last 12 months and how you grew.
Raise your hand if you've spent hours writing just a document of all the things that you can remember that you did so that you could turn it in last minute for your performance review.
I have a trick I used to do at my other job. About 30 to 40 or 50 days before my annual review, which happened in November, I would go into my weekly meeting with my boss and say, what a year. Can you believe we've done this and this and this? And each week I would have something different to talk about. So by the time he wrote my annual review, he was freshly caught up on everything. But I didn't write it out. We just chatted about it. And so he was freshly reminded, but it was very strategigic.
You just planted
and how I put
seeds.
Together. That's exactly what I did. Maybe that's what people should do. I don't know.
Maybe. But like, why do you think, I mean, you said because of every year, once a year, you have these performance reviews. Why do you think this is the case? Like, why do bosses and their employees not feel connected on their performance? It seems to me like you should find out that you're not performing well earlier on in the process if in fact your boss doesn't think you're not performing well.
Well, you know what's interesting is that stat lines up with 70 to 80% of those surveyed hate their boss. And so those numbers kind of match.
Actually, it does.
And so I think the reality is that a lot of people feel underappreciated and under-recognized. So it only makes sense then when it's annual review time or performance review time that just continues the way. My boss has no idea what I'm doing. I haven't heard from them and they haven't told me whether they think I'm doing a good job in forever. I don't hear from any kind of recognition from my position, what I do. I think they're glad I'm still here, so that must mean something. And as a result, they just go, well, I'll listen to you, but I know you don't really care. We don't ever talk. And so you can't really know what I do in a performance review.
Yeah, so true.
Well, what I find also very interesting on the stat side, 49% of people don't even know what's clearly expected of them at work. Ooh. So as you go to work every day, you're looking at your colleague and they're working on something. But what's hilarious is like, in theory, half of them have no idea what.
Half the people everywhere have no idea what's expected.
Half the people walking around with you everywhere have no idea what's expected.
So how do we solve this in the world of work? Like that's the $1 million question, right?
Well, we used to do this thing. It was called KR. We called it KRAs. There's KPIs and stuff. We called this KRAs. It was your key results area. And essentially, you sometimes hear a lot of times people will say, hey, that's not on my job description, or I'm doing so much that's not in my job description. And we would say your KRA is what you're doing. So update your KRA. So if your KRA didn't necessarily include that you were doing this new thing, add it. So you just kind of write your job description based on what you're currently doing. The job description itself was more of a guideline to get you in and kind of find a role. And then once you've come in and figured out the role, make your KRA kind of focus. And then that day, or that way you can look at it each and every day and say, and know what you're doing, or share it with your boss and say, hey, here's my key results areas. Are you good with this? If so, then I'll know what I'm supposed to be doing. If not, can you add one or two? And it really helps because it does two things. One, it helps the worker sort of identify what they should be doing. And two, it helps the leader go, well, just add it. If you're doing it, it is part of your KRA versus letting this negativity chime in constantly with, it's not in my job description, which we've all heard and probably even all said.
Well, here's why that makes sense to me, because no job is static. No job is meant to be exactly like the job description. You come in with your strengths, you come in with your personality, and you actually fill up that position with more than just the static job description, if that makes sense. So what I love about that is you're forming the job and this is recognizing it. And I think that's kind of what iAlign is doing, right, with the strengths-based model of performance reviews.
Yeah, so the key results area is a very interesting kind of acronym to kind of help people be like, how do I really maximize my people, really refine like where I can kind of direct them. And so I do think it does align really nicely with the Clifton Strengths philosophy as far as like focusing on what's right with people. So one thing that I would comment on is with Gallup, they love when employees can think through their work from a name it, claim it, aim it within the Clifton Strengths paradigm. With iAlign, we kind of flip that around just a little bit. So it's like name it, aim it, and then claim it. So we do that through helping our people really think through the future, casting visions around like, what is my best life? What does that look like in the future? And then we also set targets, right? So that name it, aim it, claim it experience in the product. And I have found for myself, when I do performance reviews with my employees, that it's so much more accurate. So that 29%, we want our employees to fall into the 29% of people who feel like when you reflected back on all the visions and targets you created in iAlign, did I grow from it? Did I use my strengths? And it's such a much more meaningful experience between a supervisor and their employee when all of that's remembered, because so much of work is forgotten. And also, when two people come together and they're talking through those things, it's so much more fair and accurate, and you get to hear two different narratives happening between two people's brains. So that's what I love about what iAlign offers. But it's in the realm of the key results area.
It's what I liked about the KRA was it empowered the person too. Like, hey, your job description, your key results, go write down what you think is important and what you're doing, and then let's work on that together versus me just telling you.
Yes.
Because you're in that role, and I think that's part of the frustration. And honestly, I don't know why most leaders don't take time to talk to their team more consistently rather than have some type of formal performance review once a year. Like sit down and talk to them weekly or quarterly or something, so people, they're here to help you win, and so why would you want them to have any kind of confusion as to what they're doing? 100%. I have a guy on my team, Tim, and I brought him in before his performance review and said, hey, we're about to have your performance review. Here are the things we're going to go over in your performance review to be ready for your performance review. And it really worked out. He appreciated it.
That's so good. And that is really exactly what we're trying to solve for with iAlign. It's relational leadership. It's not just once a year. It's relational. It's you filling it out based on your strengths, you meeting with your boss consistently. It's really meant to be more than a performance review software, right?
Oh, 100%. Really, iAlign's trying to facilitate strengths-based like conversations, right? So a performance review implies, oh gosh, and at least in the traditional American sense, it's sit down and be judged on your work.
Yes.
What we want to encourage companies to consider is regular and frequent check-ins around progress reviews, right? So it's like, hey, let's talk about your work. Let's talk about the progress. Let's review it, reflect, and grow from it. So ultimately, that's what we're trying to help people.
So it's like a progress performance software instead of a review software strictly, right?
Yeah, we aren't totally in the space of like performance management with all of these metrics around all of the technology, right? It's more like, hey, is a productive forward movement happening between a supervisor and their employee towards the company objectives, right?
Which sounds like exactly what we all want, so that at the end of the day, you don't get into a performance review situation and 29% of people think it's not fair. So go ahead and check it out. This is the problem we're solving for. We believe we're doing an incredible job, and we would love to hear your thoughts.